Okay. Oh, we are back. I'll I'll make sure that I keep track on my chat this time. Yeah, and I know it's been well over a week since I last streamed. I was just feeling a bit burnt out from work, so I had to take a break. Every day that went by, I tried to jump online, but it was just like can't do it today. I'll do it tomorrow, and then then it came tomorrow and didn't happen. Anyway, let's just jump straight into it because I know people who watch the videos later don't really want to deal with the introductions and all this sort of streaming fluff at the beginning. So I'm going to try and get to the point as quick as possible from now on, except for this time because I just explained all that, right? But starting now, starting from future videos, I'm not going to go off track, hopefully. Anyway, as always, if you've got questions and you're watching right now, add them, send them to me through the chat. If you're watching this later, leave them in the comments. I do read them all and I will respond to you if you have questions. So, last couple of weeks, I have been getting some requests on covering a couple of topics. This was kind of one of them from like way back. I've got a few more that have come through, and I do have a list. I'm keeping a list together, so I'm not like ignoring anyone. But the list is getting quite big, so I'm gonna have to be doing quite a few more of these videos. Some of them require a lot more preparation, so I think I want to cover eventually like Firebase, push notifications, and sign up screens are a big one as well. I actually personally struggle with sign up screens because the whole validation thing is different for every app, and sometimes like the way I build them, I don't like the validation to pop up as soon as you start entering text. So I want to cover a tutorial where it's only validated when you leave the text field and stuff. Anyway, we're waffling on again. So let's just keep this straightforward. Today we are taking a look at adding particle effects to your SwiftUI app. And I see this is quite popular at the moment. So like if someone makes an in-app purchase, confetti might fall from the top of the screen. That's probably the only example I can think of. Like anything big that happens, maybe you want it so when they tap a button like in on the Twitter app, how you tap the heart, sometimes there's like an animation that happens, right? That doesn't use particle effects, but you could use them to make a similar effect, right? So, starting out with a blank project, I've called it Particle Swift UI. This is already like the basics of this is already on GitHub, so the link is in the description right this second. But the code we're writing will not be there until I commit it. And then on the left here, we've got just the app running right now, which is just hello world. Okay. So this is like as soon as you create a new app in Xcode, this is what we're at. So we've skipped over that app creation part. There is an issue with my previews. I'm not sure why they're not running at the moment. I don't know. If I hit refresh, will it fix it? I've been having a lot of trouble with these lately, actually. Big, small projects, doesn't matter what size there seems to be issues with it. So yeah, I don't know. I might have to. It could be conflicting. I've got a couple of versions of Xcode installed now since there's a new beta out. So I'm wondering if there's like some issues there. I might have to delete one of them and see if that clears these up. But anyway, let's get straight forward to it. So what we need to do is come up with some sort of UI first. I do like the hello world, but we're gonna come up with something else to put in there. Maybe like maybe we'll have like a toggle where we can change between content. So like we'll come up with a fake purchase screen perhaps with a button, and we tap the button, it'll come up saying, hey, you purchased, you've unlocked everything, and then we'll have do the confetti thing. So let's just build that really quick. What are we going to start with? So I guess at the top we'll just have like a text, and we'll say unlock. We'll call it like unlock premium or something. I really wish this was working. And then we'll make it font, and it'll be large title. Large title. We'll add a spacer. So I'm just trying to picture in my head what this is going to look like. It sometimes works okay. And then we've got maybe some flavor text down here. It's like, I don't know, subscribe for all the features in the app. Who knows what they might be. To unlock. all the features in the app. And then underneath that, we'll just have our button, right? We'll have the action here. And like I said, I want to have some sort of toggle, right? So we can switch out this text here with something else, right? So we might have we'll just have a state. Generally, you would put this in a view model, right? All your code that interacts with your backend, and because this in most cases would be some sort of network call, right? So here we'll call it is purchased. We'll set it to false to begin with, and then here we'll just go if is purchased. I'll wrap that in the else. Right, and then we'll just do another text here. We can swap it. We could always just like have a do it this way, but I think this is a bit clearer, especially for YouTube, right? Let's get rid of this thing. It's obviously not going to work at all ever, so we can remove that. Congratulations. Yeah, why not? And then we'll put like Control Command Space pops open this view, and then we'll have, oh yeah, here we go. Let's use this. All right, and then the button will just is purchase toggle. We'll make it switch between them so that it's easier for testing. And the label will be, call it purchase. And I think it would be nice to have some padding, do a little bit of padding around it, and then we'll do a background, make it look like a really solid button, right? So we'll do like a rounded rectangle corner radius, yeah, and we'll set that to like 10, and we'll set the fill to, ooh, go green. Let's just take a look. We'll run this now. Yeah, okay. So we toggle between them. Let's throw another spacer down here. That's okay. It's not the best sort of, it doesn't animate. I wonder if we can. We should throw an animation down on this. Let's see what happens when we put a transition in. I always get a little bit sidetracked sometimes because it's kind of like, you got one task in mind that you're supposed to take care of, and then there's all these other little things that pop up, and you're like, oh, you know what, it might be alright if I actually do. What if I did this, to make it a little bit nicer? Oh, that doesn't work. Let's do with animation, and we'll wrap the is purchase toggle around that and see what happens. Yeah, we get like a fade now, which is probably fine. I don't like how we've got, the way the button behaves there. So let's set the foreground color to, go primary. Might have to invert it. That kind of works. It's fine. It's good enough. Good enough. Okay. I want to make this wider. So if we go frame, and we set the max width to infinity, we should get a wider button. Yeah. So that looks a bit better across the bottom there. And then the next step, I want to like shrink. I want to shrink the button when it's tapped. So down here, I'm just going to throw it down here. I think this will be scale button style. I'm gonna go button style, and then I think we need to do a build so I can get this. So hit fix. It's a body. Okay. Oh, make body. There we go. Okay. So in the configuration, we can go configuration label. Yes, and then what we can do is the scale effect. we'll say XY. So we'll say the scale effect will be based on the configuration is pressed, right? And then we want to set this to like, you want to go like not too far, right? So you want to go like 98 or 1. So when it's pressed, it'll shrink slightly to 98% its size, and then on the X direction, and then the same for the Y direction, and we can just get rid of this anchor point, I believe. Oh no, we got to throw it on our button first, so we got to go button style now. Button style is scale button style, and then we can do a run. All right. Almost, you can sort of see, you can barely see it. So this needs to be placed on, I think we gotta go around the other way, right? Or what's going on here? This might be the way to do it. That's it. Excellent. There we go. So you can see how that kind of pushes into the screen a little bit when you tap on it. I love making buttons like that. I think it's neat, and it's pretty easy. It's just this single line here on your button style. Anyway, I'll have the code for that for later. So when we tap this, it switches between them. Now the next step is that we want to create ourselves a particle effect, and to make all this happen, we are going to use SpriteKit. Yes, you can use SpriteKit in SwiftUI, and I actually use it quite often. If I'm trying to do something a little bit complex with the views, like, for example, if you wanted a board that could scroll infinitely in different directions, right? So you can't use SwiftUI to make that happen. But you can't even use UIKit because the scroll view doesn't work. It only gives you like, you can scroll in 2 different directions, but there's a limit to how far that scroll view can go. You could say, oh, let's set it to 10,000 pixels by 10,000 pixels. There's still a limit to it. With SpriteKit, it's designed so that you can add nodes to the view like you would with a side-scrolling background, and then you can interpret touch imports. You can add elasticity to it. You can, so, and then like all that happens is you move a background from one side to the other as the user scrolls around, and then it appears as if it's infinite. So you can do that kind of thing with SpriteKit. There's also like the use of 3D objects, which is a lot easier to use if you're using SceneKit. And so you can drop in a scene into your SwiftUI app. So like up here, maybe we're buying shoes, right? And you want to have like a 3D render of those shoes. You can put that up there you use SpriteKit or SceneKit, which is the 3D version. SpriteKit's the 2D version. Other things that I use it for as well. So you get some excellent noise generation APIs, which are in the game engine side of iOS. So that falls under SpriteKit, SceneKit. So which is really, really great. If you want to create noise, you want to create random number generation, you dive into all the game APIs to do that. So don't be afraid to learn SpriteKit or SceneKit, right? I think the majority of my use for it has been in just regular apps. I haven't used it I've used it to make games, but I haven't used it to make big games. And so it's just, it's not just for that. I'm so glad that Apple's added it, and I'm worried that because so few apps use it, most apps are using Unity now, right? That they might stop developing on SpriteKit and SceneKit, but they're so super important, especially soon that we might be having more AR devices, right? So I think it's worth learning. If you're just beginning your journey with all this sort of stuff, learn your SwiftUI, make your apps, and then on the side, learn a little bit of game programming as well. Okay. So what we need to do is add a particle system. So I'm just going to move this over to my other screen for a second, just to make sure that I'm not exposing any of my files. I'll create a new file. So just to show you real quick, we're looking for we can do a SceneKit file, but we want to do, to start with a SpriteKit particle file. So this is the one we're going to grab, and we're adding this to our app. The one I'm going to add is called, you get a few, you get a couple of them here in this drop down. They all behave differently though, but they can all be made from each other. So like once you get this set up, you'll get your file, and you can tweak the values to make it behave as any of these particles. Or these are just starting points basically. These are your particle templates. So I'm thinking if we're gonna do like a confetti type thing, we might be looking at snow or rain. Or even spark. The spark's a good one. Spark is like an explosion, like a fast explosion. Rain will be like just continuous, right? So the rain could help as well. So if we go with, let's go with rain. I think that would be best for this example that we're doing. Let's go next. Yes, it is showing all my files. All right, so let me just add that to here. It's called my particle, and then yeah, you can play around with some of the values here. I don't think you're going to be able to see it too well because the side panel I cannot make the font larger. But this is everything you have available to you. I think you have a couple of others if you make changes in the code itself. But yeah, this is our rain. To change we need to make some edits here, right, to make it a little bit more confetti-like. So there are some textures we can choose from. I'm thinking this one might be a bit better because it's got like a hexagonal shape to it, whereas the rain, I think the rain is this spark shape, which if we should have it in our assets. Yeah, it's right here. So we've got two different types. You can see here we've got, this one's got like these hard edges. I think that will work better for confetti. Whereas this here is like a softer edge. So that's not something, probably not something for our use case, right? So let's go with our, yeah, that looks a bit better. So the other thing is we got these things called like the color ramp, right? So we can add some different colors in here. So let's change this to like, I don't know, red. And you can see how we've got, it starts out at this blue and then it gradually shifts over time. So, but what we want to do is randomize the color when it's created. And if we increase this range here, you can see that we've got some white particles coming through along with the blue. Actually, I have a lot of fun with this sometimes. I'll just sit here and just play with the particle generation and just like try to come up with, you know, sort of new stuff. The color blend, no, we want to set this back down to where it was. Yeah, this editor is great. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we've got a couple of colors there. Let's try, see if we can get some more harsher edges on these. No. Multiply. We've got an add. Nope. Alpha. Alpha's probably the best one to go with. We want to add some rotation. So maybe if these were more rectangular, so you can swap in your own images here. Maybe we do that. Let me open up. Oop, that's not the one. Yeah, let me open Sketch. I just need, it's so funny to create a whole new document just to create a rectangle essentially. So this is it here. I'll turn off the borders. I'll just make this a solid white color. And then here we make it exportable, and then there's our image there. But I don't want to do that. I just want this to be exportable. Just that. So what I'll do is I'll switch out, grab this, and I'll drop that in here, replacing this. Let's just keep that open for now, just in case I want to change the shape of it slightly. Then we go back to our particle. I think we need to Yeah. Yeah, see, that looks okay. They kind of they need to be rotated a bit though, so we could do that. If we add some more rotation, actually, it's kind of good that I made it a bit longer, so you'll be able to see it rotate because when it's like small in a circle, the rotation means nothing. All right. Well, it's kind of getting there. Let's go with the scale. We can change as well. Okay, we don't want them to change scale as time goes on. So we want to set the speed to the change to 0. The start can be 0.1, but we want maybe, let's set this to, I don't know. Okay, we got a couple of different sizes in there now. That's great. We can change the start angle. So you can see how this affects. So if I go to the left, it pushes it across. We go to the right, pushes it a bit. Yeah, okay. So if we set this to 0, we should. Yep, so if we set it to 90 degrees, it's up. If we set it to -90, it should be down. Excellent. So we're coming straight down now. So when we have our confetti, it's just going to come directly from the sky. That's exactly what we want. We can set our speed so they just fly down. Because they're like little bits of paper, I think the speed would be quite slow. I also believe that there are too many of them. So let's drop the birth rate. Maybe the speed can go up a little bit more. A little bit more confetti. A little bit more. I think it was originally 150. Probably don't need that many. Go a little bit slower. Cool. And then we can change the position as well where they spawn. So we can make it really wide. See that? We can make it really narrow. So it's in a single stream. Let's go fairly wide. Let's go maybe about 700. What we'll do is we'll place this at the top of the screen, right? I'm just going to gradually fall down. The Y value will increase the spawn area vertically. So we probably want this set to, like 5's good. We could set to 0 and then it's all going to be in a single line as it falls down. Maybe if we were to set to something like 30, we've got a bit more variation. I think it's probably okay. We can make it, you can see how they're all, now that I've made the Y value much larger, you can see how they're popping in all over the place. But if we set it to 0, they should just pop in it across the top. Cool. Now the other thing is I really want to try and work out how to get different colors in there. I may have to search this because I'm not too confident. I do have a feeling it's got something to do with this color ramp, but we've got position. We've got the angle, which we've been playing around with. We've got the alpha. Yes, the alpha will have them fade out over time. That's not what we're after. Just want to set it to 1. The scale we've already played around with and rotation. So we need to do something with these colors down here. And I think I'm going to have to do a search for this. So SpriteKit, different colored particles. Okay. Particle color. So something, if we can't do it directly on these, we may need to create a couple of emitters, right? And I don't think I can do it in this view, but the idea would be like we just set them, let's get rid of these. So let's say these ones are a blue color, right? And then we create another particle where they're all red, and then we layer them on top of each other so that you've got blue and red confetti falling down. And in that case, we may have too much and need to pull back the birth rate on these. There is this color blend. I might have to set this back down to 0. Yeah, you can see speed. Let's go 0 on this. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to do a couple. I think let's do it that way. So I think I'm happy with this so far. I might bring the birth rate down just a little bit, because if we're going to be layering these on top of each other, it's going to be a bit weird. Okay, so we can go back to our content view. And we do need to create a scene. So the way this works is SwiftUI gives us a SpriteKit scene that we can drop into our view. And the funny thing here is that it needs to be off screen a little bit. You don't want to see the particles popping in. So the way this would work is if we went to like, if we can do I think we have to import SpriteKit first before SwiftUI gives us access to this scene. Yeah. So we can go SpriteKit, Sprite View. It's called a Sprite View. There we go. And then we just pass through a scene. And then we can customize our scene with our particles. So here's our little scene here. It's just waiting to be created. I'm going to create a new class for this, and then inside there is where I'm going to fill it with the particles. So to do this, this is our particle scene, sk scene. And oh, please tell me I need, no, come on. What we got? Particle. I'm hoping that it'll give me the correct methods that I need up here, but no, that's compilable. I guess I might have to look this up. I'm pretty sure that it might be just like you just need to do an initializer with the size, yeah. And then we create our particles and add them to the scene. I believe that is the case. So I think what we need to do is we can create our own initializer, and then I think we need to call the designated one, which will be this size. And for us, since we are working with, let's override the designated one, because I think it makes more sense at the call site to put the size of the screen here. So we could even use the geometry reader as well. And we can say, this is, we'll pass through the frame of this. This is the size that we want. That's if you're going to go for like a full screen thing. I think that's what we need to do as well. We need it needs to be on top. It needs to be a layer. So we're going to need to use the Z stack with this. So that's how that's going to work. So we will need to use the geometry reader on this. So let's just grab that whole thing. Come in here, we'll use our Z stack. Now I'm also thinking like a really nice effect is if the particles came down over parts of the UI, but not all of them. Right? So like we could put the particles on top of everything, which is what people would mostly expect. I think we're going to go with that for now. Okay, we're going to go with that for now. We'll put them on top of everything. We'll see how that goes. But I think a really neat effect would be to, splice them together, layer it together. So down here, we're going to put in our size, and let's try our geo.size and see how that goes. Now up here, we need to go, let's throw this in. Let's go super init size, and I think we can set the background color. Let's just go with like a yellow, and then see if it fills the whole screen, right? Yeah, it does. Excellent. So it's covering all our content. Okay. We may need to put it behind stuff. Otherwise we can't interact with that content, right? So let's see if we can get a pass through tap on these. Let's set this to, I believe we set it to clear. Ooh, come on, we can do this. Let me just do a quick Google. We can do this. Oh, look at that. Apple's even got a some documentation for us, I hope. Scenes enable allows transparency. There, yeah. SK view. So this would be, what have we got? What's going on here? Allows transparency view. Allows transparency equals true. Let's try this. Come on. All right, maybe I should read all of it. We set the view's background color to clear, set the scene's background color to clear. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the view's background color also has to be clear. Whoops. All right, let's run that. Why isn't this? Is there a particular order? What's going on? We've got set the scene's background color to clear, yes. To overlay content rendered with SpriteKit on top of another view, follow these steps. Set the scene's back. Do you know what? I wonder if it's got something to do with this, right? Like background. Interesting. Done this correctly. Anyone watching know what I am doing wrong here? Background color. Got it set to clear. All right, maybe we need to keep going with this. Let's find some other. Okay. Oh, man. All right. Yes, there is a method of doing this. Pay special attention. There we go. Okay, so to get transparency working, if I delete this, what do we get? What do we get? Do I need to do anything else? Okay, yeah, so I need to set one of these maybe. Excellent. So all I need to do is set the background color of the scene to clear. I don't need to worry about the SK view or setting the allows transparency on the SK view because we just set it here. That's all. Right, so when you're setting up your sprite view, you got your scene, you pass through your scene, options, and then in part of the array, you can set allows transparency. I wonder what else is in here. Ignores sibling order. Should cull non-visible nodes. Yeah, that's probably true. But I don't think we're going to be dealing with too many of those. We just got our particle emitter nodes. So once this is set up, let's create our emitter. We'll call it emitter 1 because we might have a couple of these, right? And then we'll put in, I don't know, we need to call particle sk emitter node, file named, and then we pass through my particle. And I don't know if we need the extension. I don't think we do. And then what we need to do is we need to add that. So scene, we need to go add child node emitter 1. Now we also need to set a position on this, but I'm just going to go with this and see if we get anything. We got must be unwrapped. Oh yeah. Let's just wrap it this way. This initializer is fallible, I think. So, all right. So we have something happening. I don't know if you can see it, but see down the bottom here. There's like weird flickering. So something's there. Something's happening. I think we need to change the position of this, right? So like emitter dot position dot y. Is it positive this way? Let's just try something. Let's say let's move it by 100 in one direction. No, so I think it's plus. So the XY coordinates, yeah. So the XY coordinates are different on UIKit and SwiftUI than what they are in SpriteKit, right? So I think we are used to. Was it the bottom left? It's been such a long time because it's not even something I think about in SwiftUI anymore. UIKit, they're reversed anyway. The 0 was at the top in one situation and 0 is at the bottom in the other. So you have to like, if you move something negative, you'd actually be going down, and in the other UIKit or SpriteKit, it'd be going the opposite direction. So that's something to keep in mind. The coordinate system is flipped. Which way, I couldn't tell you. I'm not sure. I think by the looking at this, we're pushing up. So I think SpriteKit 0 is down the bottom left, and for UIKit, it's up the top left. I think, yeah. So anyway, we've pushed this up by 100, so we need to set this to... Ooh, how do we do this? So I think the coordinate system here, we need to change this, the Y value. So we've got our confetti. You can see that there falling down. We definitely need to make some edits to that. We need to set our Y value to, let's say 0. We'll put it back at the bottom. We need to put it to the tops, which is size.height. Okay, there we go. So it's kind of cool. It's working. I think we need to do some little bit more rotation for these, right? So if we go back to our particle, let's do some rotation effects. So we say speed. I want them to be rotating in different directions, right? So the start will be 0, they'll be flat. We should change this to 90 though, so that they're vertical. It feels a bit more right for confetti, right? Maybe? Let's go 45, let's see what happens. We want them to rotate over time. As if I really boost up this speed value. Oh yeah, you can see them kind of turning. It would be nice if they were random. So like, they're not all turning in the same direction. Let's say the range. Okay, this looks a bit better. Yeah, but they all are. They're all twisting in the same way. So let's run that on the sim. Yeah, that looks cool. That looks cool. Okay, so what we need to do now is in the emitter, we can say particle color. Yeah, it seems like there's a whole lot more we can do here programmatically. Like, look, check this out. If we go particle alpha, scale, speed, action, texture, lifetime, position, rotation, birth rate, blend mode. There seems to be more options here than in the side panel that we get. Oh, hello. How are you going? So let's set the particle color to red. See if that makes a difference. It absolutely does not make a difference. I wonder why. Hey, I'm good. I'm good. I almost didn't stream today, and then was like, nope, gotta do it. People are, well, not at the moment. I think I've had a couple of views today. Usually I stream early morning for me, and that's where most people are online. But I needed a break from some work, and I had an idea I wanted to get out. The color sequence uses specify the color components of particle over its lifetime. I wonder if the particle color sequence that we've set is overriding the actual. So if I set this to what do we got? SK keyframe sequence. Ooh, no. Because over here we've got, I thought this might have been a bit of a sequence thing here because it changes color over time. If we delete all these and just have nothing, can we do that? No. You have a question? Yeah, you can ask me whatever questions you like. That's fine. That's why I do these things live. Particle color. So we already tried doing this. We started setting this to red and that didn't quite work. Is there a way we can convert SwiftCode to Kotlin code? Oh, geez. I don't know. I think with the internet being the way the internet is, I'm sure that there is a project out there where someone is building this. Is that because you're an iOS developer and you want to be able to publish your apps for Android as well? Because they might actually be better. Like, it kind of sucks. Like, if you already know Swift really well and stuff, and then yeah, and then learning. Most people are going to say try some sort of hybrid solution, right? Try building your app in, I don't know, what is it? Flutter and stuff, right? And then it's like, oh, well, now I have to relearn. Or React Native. Yeah, I don't know if there is. Let's have a quick look. Like, I'm sure you've already done this, done a search. The first result is something called Griffin. Share your app's iOS code with Android using Griffin. Write the logic of your app's iOS code in Swift, then use Griffin to turn it into Kotlin. And use it on Android. No need. Have you tried this? It looks kind of like neat, you know? Preview in GitHub. It doesn't work? Okay. Like at all? You've tried it? Does it like kind of work a little bit, or does it just not work? Or there's like a lot of extra stuff you have to do on top. Like maybe it just like will convert your class across or whatever, but then you have to like, there's more to it than that. That's funny. I don't even know how this would work because you would need to. There's particular APIs that will not translate, right? It requires macOS. Earlier. Oh yeah. Okay. So. Oh, that's okay. You know what? I could see this being good for algorithms, right? Like you build something, you're in a team with an Android dev and the iOS guy's like ahead, right, of the Android person. And I don't know, they've got some kind of math puzzle thing they have to figure out, sorting a big database of things, and it's like, well, we can just copy this across and then reuse it in, I can see it happening for that. I can't see it working for translating like camera APIs and stuff from one platform to the next. You can even track down bugs in the Kotlin code within Xcode. Man, there's a lot of effort went into this though. Yeah, no, I don't think so. It's a shame really that there isn't, but I also feel like there probably isn't a huge market for it. So like if there was, like if someone was to come out with a tool for that, I don't think it would be financially viable. Because like big companies probably wouldn't use it. They'll still stick with their Flutter and React Native and things like that anyway, or they're separate members on their teams. This would be great for indie devs, but indie devs like myself are really cheap and probably wouldn't pay for something like that. So it's like, if I wanted to build a multi-platform app, I'd probably use Unity. Maybe build UIs in Unity and then submit it, because then it could be used anyway, even on the web, right? Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, I can't color. Particle color doesn't work. I'm gonna have to Google this. SpriteKit particle color change. Programmatically. Do a search for this. Oh, do we need to call set on it? No. Unity for an app? Hey, I know it sounds stupid, and you know what? It absolutely is stupid, but there's a couple out there. Um, so one of the apps I'm building is like a music um, sound effects app for like tabletop games, right? And the few competitors out there that are on the App Store, I think they all use Unity to build, because most of those people are like game developers in indie game developers in their spare time, and they play D&D or something, and they know how to use Unity, and like, oh, I'll make an app, and so they do that with Unity, and then they put it on the App Store. Mine's fully native, but yeah, most of the competitors in that space use Unity, and they're not the most performant apps I have ever seen. They're not great, but I think it's doable. I think it's I think you can make it work if you know what you're doing. I haven't tried that yet, but I want to. It's an experiment I would love to do, and see if I can get something really performant and fun as well. Because I mean, you got access to all these game assets too, all these 3D elements. Like, imagine an app that's not completely flat. There might be something there. Probably not, but could be. It's an experiment I'm willing to try out. But yes, it's not that crazy of an idea. It's been done. Back in the day when I first started iOS development, my first app was built using Flash, and Flash had this, like you export options, and you could export to Android and iOS. I think there was a whole bunch of other phones you could do too back then. And yeah, I built my first app using ActionScript before I could afford a Mac, and before I learnt Objective C. So yeah. Yeah, if it was like 10 years ago, and you asked me that question from before, I'd be like, you could try building in Flash. Oh yes. Okay, so I had an assumption of why it wasn't working, and this would be exactly it. The particle color property isn't working because of the color ramp settings in the particle editor. Yep, they are actually stored in the particle color sequence, which is what I was playing around with, right? Which ignores all other particle color properties. So to make it work, you need to override the particle color sequence setter and make it nil first. Then you need to set the particle color blend factor to fully blend your chosen color with the particle texture. Full blending is 1. Okay, so we can just copy this. That's what I thought, but I didn't know we have to set it to nil. Yes. Particle color. Let's go red. Whoops. Oh, hold up. These are not the correct. Yeah. Let's replace all those. Yay, we got red. All right, so let's just make a bunch of these. I'm sure there is a way to individually color different particle. Maybe I'll look that up after, but let's just go with blue, and we'll go green, and then we'll just have a couple of them. Yeah, we probably need to make them like more pastel-y color, but that works, right? We can't tap anything, so it's probably important that, because otherwise this is the alternative, right? Throw this up here. This is still going to look kind of cool, but the particle's going to be behind all the elements. Actually, I think that looks fine. We can probably get away with that. So switching between them. So what we want to do now is hide this if is purchased. Whoop. All right, so this is our regular purchase screen. You might have these subscription selections there, and then you want to go, oh yeah, I want to unlock everything. And then we get some particle effects. Kind of cool. We can turn them off, and they just fade out because we are animating on is purchased. But it doesn't really matter too much, because generally, whoa, okay, you're not going, That was pretty cool. You're not going to unpurchase something. So this will be it, and then you'll have it across at the top. You close it down, and then you've unlocked everything in the app. You'll probably never see the screen again after you've done that. But yeah, that was interesting. So it looks like the particles are like building up right now as we sit here. The particles are building up somehow. So, Swift UI must be like sort of holding on to this somewhere somehow. Because if we go purchase again, they all drop down at once. Does that happen every time? No. So if we go back and forth fast enough, that's pretty cool. Kind of build up in the background. So it must pause it or something. That's interesting. I wonder what it's doing there. I'm not smart. I haven't not smart enough, or I haven't read into how SwiftUI actually handles these if statements and stuff in its code. It would be useful to figure that out though, because I find that sometimes this kind of setup where I've got like a switch between two different text views, the animation between them doesn't work as expected, like especially if I'm doing some sort of transition. So I want one to move off the screen where the other one comes back on the screen. I think it's got something to do with how it's all keeps it all in check, like it remembers what's where. You've got your tags and stuff like that. That's how it can help determine between different views and whether they're the same or not. But yeah, that's kind of funny. It's great. I think we're kind of like, I mean, that's sort of done, but I do want to. I don't like this setup, and I think we can do better than that. Randomize particle color SpriteKit. Here we go. Let's see. Is this possible? Yeah, so they got the whole color ramp thing going on. This is an old question. Is it? Oh, 9 years ago. Do we really have SpriteKit that long ago? That's crazy to me. Looks like you can't use predefined SKS file for the emitter node. I was able to figure this out programmatically by creating SK emitter node. The reason why is because it doesn't look like when you initiate SKS, it doesn't respond to set particle color. That's the problem we ran into, which we just fixed. Excuse me. I feel like I have seen this before. I have asked this question before. I remember this image. After 7 years. Use the editor to find this, but you can get the desired effect with the following code. Sequence nil. Oh, interesting. So we can set a range. So if we set a range on these, so instead of saying the particle color is that, if we set, oh, then these are not lined up. No way. Yeah, we got the one emitter and it's like, it's completely random colors. Look at that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, so what if we set... Or can we set it? Can we change? Is the range... I'm assuming the range goes from... Hold up. The range of allowed random values for the blue component of particles initial color. Right. If the value is 0... The default value is 0. If non-zero, the starting blue component of a particle's color is randomly determined and may vary by plus or minus half. Okay. May vary by plus or minus half the range value. I get it. So when it's all blue, so it treats it as saying the blue range is, it's 255 anyway, regardless, right? If you set this to 0, the blue color will be at max. Right? And then when you set a range to like 1, it'll be, no. It'd be plus or minus. If non-zero, the starting blue component of a particle's color is randomly determined and may vary plus or minus half of the range value. So if I set this as 255, I'm trying to understand the logic here, right? If I set this as 255, it'll pick a random number out of that as the starting value, and then I don't know. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. Here it is. You want to read it later, you can pause that and squint your eyes at it because it is very tiny text. Don't know how it works, but it seems like we're getting some nice colors here. If I set these all to 10, I wonder if this might actually help us understand what it's actually doing, right? So 255, that's like, why is it 255? I bet it's a number between 0 and 1, right? This doesn't look that much different to me. If I set this to 0.1, because this is a float. Yeah, it's a float. I don't know why they gave it to us in 255. Okay, so those colors aren't very nice. If I set this to 1, that's the same as we had before. I don't know, hey. I don't know what this is supposed to be. It's a bit muted. That's funny. I don't know. Don't know how it works, but we did get it to work. That's excellent. So we got confetti. All right, so let's just recap what we did here and how this all works. Okay, so we've got a particle scene that we're using from SpriteKit. SceneKit, SK scene, SpriteKit scene. Oh yeah, SceneKit scene is SCSCENE, I think. Yeah, the prefix is SC. Anyway, so we got a SpriteKit scene here, which creates our emitter, our particle emitter, which we have created over here, and we've messed with some of the values. We've just got the 1. We can, put the birth rate up again. We can run our app, and we'll see how that looks. So we've got a whole lot more confetti coming down, which is kind of cool. It looks like we probably need to make the X value a little bit wider. What you want to do in a production app, if you've got this running on iPhone, iPad, and all that, you probably want to go the X scale. I think no, not X scale. It would be whatever this lines up to over here. We've got the position. Yeah, position X. And we set that to like the size width. And that should fill the screen, hopefully. Oh, it's moved over. It doesn't matter. Anyway, let's keep going with our recap. So we've got our particle scene set up with our emitter. And then inside our content view, which is our SwiftUI view, we are toggling on this press of this button. Just that something else is happening, so it's more realistic UI. I'm not just showing you how to throw particles on the screen. The other thing is we've got our Z stack so that our particles sit behind all the content, because if it's in front, we can't tap any of the content. I'm sure there's a way to pass the taps through, but I'm not going to. There is actually, I know that there is one. There's a view modifier we can use to do that. That's for later. We've got our text at the top, which is the Unlock Premium. We've got a spacer. We've got the spacers either side of this, so we can show off the text in the middle, which just toggles between 2 different values. And then on our purchase label, we just hit. So this is basically like, this is pretty standard, simple UI. The bulk of the work that's happening, down here is just so we can make our button do its little scale effect. So if you want to steal that for your own projects, go right ahead. It's just that single line here, the scale effect on is pressed. But yeah, the bulk of the work is just this here, our particle scene, and calling a sprite view. right? Sprite view is our SwiftUI view that can take in a scene. In this case, it's our particle scene. It's so easy to do, right? Like, where are we at? We are at, I started around 4, so it's been an hour, and I've messed around a bit. You should be able to implement something like this in like 10 minutes. Especially got something to follow now, but yeah, I highly encourage anyone who is learning SwiftUI, UIKit, just iOS development to take a look at SpriteKit and maybe even SceneKit, some of the 3D tools that are available. Because like I said earlier on, I use it for a bunch of other things too. I use it for the random number generations that is in there that you need for games. I use it in my regular apps to, maybe I'll randomize this text up here, unlock premium. The random numbers in there are generally better, and you can bias them in a certain way for like dice rolls and stuff in games. There's other things like this, the particle effects. I use those quite often in SwiftUI and UIKit. I'm out of focus now. Hello. And this camera. Hey. Okay. So, and then what else do I use it for? A noise generation as well. There's like, you can generate like Perlin noise and things like that. That's really, really great for animations. I'm not going to go, that's way too in depth, but there's plenty of other creators online. You look up Perlin noise animations and it'll open up. You can make a noisy animation or something that looks completely random loop by using noise. It's interesting because it's random. You think, oh, how can you loop an animation if it's completely random? But yeah, it's great stuff. But that's it from my stream today. I'm only going to do it an hour. I'll try and do some more throughout the week. I have a big list of stuff that I want to get through. So I also want to do a video on closures. I want to do like the ultimate Swift closure video, right? Like exactly what they are, because I know a lot of beginners still have trouble with it. And I think most of the ways that it's explained online doesn't help. Okay, so I'm going to do a video on that, a proper one produced, not a stream. And I've got that coming up this week, and then I've got a sign-up screen I want to do with proper form validation. Someone did request like swiping cards, like on Tinder. There's a few guides out there already on that, so I'm not too. It's not too urgent to get that done. Push notifications and stuff with Firebase. So we'll see. I don't really like Firebase just because of the data collection and stuff that goes on. I prefer, there's other tools out there. Maybe we do something on Core Data and CloudKit. Maybe that would be better. Core Data and CloudKit. I've got an app in the store now that uses that, so that might be pretty cool to cover. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you